Hi everyone. Hi, it's Elizabeth Mendenhall, and we're here with Remax Live. My co-host today is Christy Mendenhall. Christy's going to be the 2016 chair of the Columbia Board of Realtors YPN chapter, and we are so honored to have with us today Bobbi Howe. Bobbi is from St. Joe, Missouri, and she is the 2015 chair of the National Association of Realtors YPN Network. And if you don't know about YPN or how YPN can benefit your business, it is an amazing, amazing organization, and it's not just for young people. There's everyone can benefit from it, and one of the things that it certainly does is it raises the bar in our industry. So welcome, Bobbi. Thanks for being with us.
Thank you for having me.
I know, it's awesome to have somebody from Missouri in this position. So excited. How long have you been a realtor volunteer?
So I have been a realtor volunteer since 2008, but I'm a second-generation realtor. I grew up in the business, but my mom wasn't really a volunteer, and I actually kind of fell into becoming a volunteer and having this whole other side of me that actually energized me. I was burnt out in real estate by the time I was 18, to be quite honest, and by becoming a realtor volunteer, it actually has energized me and found a whole new side of me. Then I have grown so much as a person. If I wouldn't have ever been exposed to this when I was younger, I wouldn't be sitting here today.
You know, it's funny that you should say that, because I remember having a conversation with my dad, and one of the questions is why do you volunteer? What benefit do you get? And as a broker, I can absolutely see that the information that we get impacts our business decisions, and the agents. But I think the other piece of it is you just get exposed to different things, different ideas. It keeps you excited, keeps your mind moving, and that makes it that much more exciting to do your day-to-day business. So sometimes I call volunteering my night job. It's kind of fun. Christy,
I have kind of a funny story to add, if you don't mind me. Actually,
yeah.
Slight funny story is the reason that I'm involved and that I'm doing what I am actually goes back to your dad. When I was in high school, I went through a program called Missouri Business Week that was put on by the Missouri Association of Realtors on MU's campus, and your dad actually formed that, and that made me want to, when I became a realtor, go back and volunteer and be a part of that. And that's how I got pulled into the Realtor Association, was so that I could volunteer with Missouri Business Week. And then it led to all these other amazing things, but it's kind of crazy that it actually kind of goes back to your dad in a way. So I thank you, your family.
I have a feeling you're talking about the Tinker Toy experiment, and we're going to have to resurrect that somehow, some way.
We do. We really do need it.
I agree. So tell me, what volunteer positions have you had in the Realtor organization?
So I will try to name as many of them as I can, and I am probably going to leave some off. I first got involved in 2008, and in that time I have been my local board president for 2 years, and I've served as chair of numerous committees at my local association. I have sat on the state executive committee and served as chair of many state committees. I am the national YPN chair this year. I'm going to move in next year and be the vice chair of the Local Leadership Ideas Exchange Council, the small board section for the National Association of Realtors. I sat on the National Strategic Thinking Advisory Committee this year. In addition, I sat on a work group for consumer communications, which just helped the National Association choose their new ad agency, and we're going to start seeing some new ads roll out from that, and I am so extremely excited to see that happen. I've sat on the National CRS Board of Directors, National CRS Strat Planning, and I sit on National CRS Finance Committee, and I've chaired a couple of National CRS committees. So I've kind of become an association junkie in a way.
Yeah, it's very impressive. And how did you get involved in YPN to start?
So this actually goes back to Elizabeth again. In 2008, I was on a plane to Orlando for the National Association. And the person sitting next to me, his name was Tom Hernandez, and he said, "Have you heard about this thing called YPN?" And I was like, "I've kind of heard a little bit about it." And we had a conversation on the plane, and we got off, and we talked to Elizabeth, and she said, "Yes, I've been wanting to get one going at the regional level. They're Jeff City and Columbia." And said, "Hey, why don't we get one going at the state level?" And so we had conversations while we were in Orlando, and by April of next year, we were running with a YPN ourselves.
Wow. Well, and the state and the state chapters had a lot of success. One of the things, so I know why, how did it begin nationally? I mean, and what is its purpose? And do you know the current statistics on how many YPNers there are in the industry and kind of what that is considered?
So YPN got started as a branch off from Realtor Magazine's 30 Under 30 program that they do. They just celebrated their 15th anniversary of doing the 30 Under 30 program, which recognizes the top 30 agents under the age of 30 in the nation. And in 2006, they realized they needed a way to bring these people together because they were recognizing them once a year and then kind of sending them back off into their own associations. And there was this potential for leadership and growth and just combining together as a community that really wasn't happening. So they brought everyone together in 2006. And in 2009, we actually got our full-time staff liaison, Rob Reuter, who still runs us to this day. And since Rob came on board, we have gone through the roof. We now have a YPN in every single state. We have about 350-some YPNs. 323 of them are local YPNs, and then we have a bunch of state YPNs as well. And we don't track our numbers as well as we could because not every YPN requires all their membership to sign up to be a part of it. But we do have tracked of about 14,000 members nationwide that we know of and we can reach out to.
And there aren't any dues, correct?
No, there's no dues. That's the most amazing thing about YPN is it's absolutely free to anyone that wants to join. We target those under 40 and we target those in the business less than 5 years, but it's absolutely open to anyone to be a part of this free organization that just shares and gives to each other.
Yeah, that's great in itself. What would you say is the greatest business benefit to being involved in YPN?
The greatest benefit is meeting and coming into contact with all these other people. They are in every different market across this country. You're going to run into people that are in a market exactly like yours, and then you're going to run into people in markets that you just can't even fathom what they do. But you can always take away something from what they're doing. You know, for me being here in St. Joe, my market's very similar to the market there in Columbia, and so I can bond with people and see the things that they're working. But for instance, I just sold a $10,000 duplex to someone, and I talk to people that are out in Palo Alto, California, and they're like, the cheapest property on our MLS is like $1 million. They can't even comprehend a $10,000 duplex, but yet we can each take away things from each other and get a lot of business deals. I get a lot of people from California wanting to invest in St. Joe real estate because they see how cheap our prices are out here in the Midwest. So you can make money off of it too.
Right. I can certainly attest to that with the leadership retreat that we just attended and everyone that we met and all the deals that were being made just right there. Everyone's like, wait, what were you saying? And everyone wanted to get involved right there. It was incredible. You know, I now have friends all over the nation and, you know, acquaintances and contacts, and it's just, my network grew tremendously just from that. It was incredible.
Yeah, and each time you go to one of those events, it's going to continue to grow like that. And it is a lot of overhearing other conversations. You know, I love our roundtables. That's why we do roundtables at our YPN summits and at our national and mid-year, is that people pick up so much information from each other, not just having a speaker up there and drown on and on for an hour about something. It's everybody's got a little something they can teach someone else.
Definitely true.
Well, Bobbi, I know that, you know, you spent a lot of time volunteering, but you also, what are some cool things you've got to do as a result of your volunteer time?
So I get to actually travel the country, and I get paid to speak at places. While we were at the YPN Leadership Summit in Chicago 2 weeks ago, I was approached by the Florida Association of Realtors to come in and MC their YPN Summit here October 13th through 15th in St. Petersburg, Florida. So now I get to go to Florida in October, and they're going to pay me to be there as a part of an event. And I get to do stuff like that all the time. I also get invitations to be on special advisory groups and behind the scenes of things that are going on through different groups. I have confidentiality agreements signed, so I can't speak about them, but a lot of the technology that we're using, serving on advisory board groups and making sure that the technologies work the way we want them to work.
Very, very cool.
Definitely. I think you sort of answered this, but why do you attend NAR conventions? I'm sure there's lots of reasons.
I could go on and on and on for the reasons. I mentioned earlier, you know, I'm a second-generation realtor. My mom didn't get involved in volunteering, but the office that I grew up in, the broker always sent, this is back in the 80s and 90s when brokers would send agents to go to convention, but that was one of the things growing up as I always got to go to convention. And my mom believed in going to convention for the educational opportunities, the sitting in the classes. And so when I went out on my own and started attending an AR convention, it was so that I could get education that I couldn't get anywhere else, and I still get that. But now it's going and it's being a part of the people that are there. We have what we call LobbyCon, and people to get together in the lobby of the convention hall or the hotels, and we have a small YPN Leadership Summit going on there where we all share our ideas, we all share what's going on, and then we go do things together. We've actually developed a realtor running group, and we started it a few years ago. We had in 2012, it was in, the national convention was in Orlando. I had just given birth to my son 6 weeks ago, and there was a half marathon going on at Disney World, and someone conned me into running this half marathon with them, and there was like 10 of us there. Well, now when we're out in San Diego this year for the NAR convention, there's going to be about 30 of us running a half marathon that goes from San Diego along the beach up to Coronado Beach and Imperial Beach. And so there's this other bond that develops outside of real estate because we all have lives and we can connect with each other in so many different ways.
So the network has developed in, it continues to grow. That's pretty cool.
Yes.
Yeah, you guys tried to get me in that running group. I wasn't quite so hot on that. That was a little too intense. I could maybe do the 5K, but the half I'm not in for.
Well, we have. There's 5Ks, there's 10Ks, there's a place for everybody, and that's the one thing that I think I see the parallels between the running world and the real estate world is everyone supports everyone else. No matter what they are, when you see someone on the side of the road and they're struggling, someone's going to tap you on the back and say, how can I help you? And in real estate, it's much the same way where you see an agent who's struggling, and another agent will often pull them aside and say, hey, how can I help you? How can I give to you? You know, we're supposed to act like we're competitors, but we really, for the most part, don't. We really do treat each other as family, and that's one of the reasons I stay in this industry is because of the feeling of family with everybody. My phone is full of people that if I were having a struggle today, I could call anywhere in this country and have someone that will help me, and that's, you don't get that in a lot of industries.
Well, and I think you make a great point on that because, you know, even if you're in an office and you're very tight-knit and you've got a really, really close family, there still is that knowledge that it is your competitor. And that is there no matter how close you are. That goes away when you are involved at the state and the national level. And, you know, that boundary just completely disappears, and you can just make some of the best friends for life because you're sharing not only your business experiences but then also your volunteer time, and I can certainly attest to that. Bobbi, I know you are always growing your business.
Yep.
Things are changing. What do you want to learn more about this year?
So what I'm focusing on this year is actually kind of going back and working in more mentorship type relationships. You know, I grew up with my mom's business, but I didn't necessarily pay attention to the way she did it. And I have technology down, and I know a whole lot of other things, but I really want to talk to those veterans that are in the business and find out what they did 20 years ago, what they did 10 years ago, what's still working for them today. That's one of the key components to YPN that we've wanted to get going nationally that's just, it's really not feasible to introduce it, but that I want to help other people find a way to do it within their markets or within their state associations, is really get that mentor key down, because there are these experienced people who feel like they're being pushed out the door even though they shouldn't, but they have so much value they can provide to every agent out there, and they feel so empowered when they can give back. And so to have those conversations and those relationships, you know, I've never farmed a neighborhood, so I would love to talk to some farming veterans and find out the best ways to farm a neighborhood and the things that I should avoid and not waste my money on, because there's a whole lot of those out there in real estate. We love to sell each other things, and I don't want to waste my money. I want my time special, and I want to use it in the best way I can.
Very cool.
I think you touched on this a little bit, but what do you like most about the business? Is it the connections you make? Is it the networks? Is it the people? Is it the family? Is there one thing in particular that you really do like the most?
I love that no 2 days are the same. This business has the highest of the highs and the lowest of the lows. Like, you have stress like you could never imagine, but then you'll have something awesome that happens and it completely offsets it. And I've worked in a couple of different industries, and a lot of those, they day in, the day out seem the same. And in real estate, you try to plan your day ahead of time, but you never know exactly what's going to happen. And I kind of like the spontaneity of it, because I'm a very serious planner. So I like having forced spontaneity thrown into my life because otherwise I would never have any myself.
I agree. I like that a lot. So you have been a great mentor, I know, to several people. What is the best tip you would give a new agent?
The best tip that I actually have 2 tips is that don't be afraid to reach out to the people that you know and you love, that you grew up around, or even just the general public. Sometimes we get scared and we think we're intruding on other people's lives and they don't want to talk to me. You know, whether you cold call, door knock, or however you're reaching out to your sphere, sometimes we put a fear of rejection there that doesn't actually exist. People want to help other people. So if you come to them with how can I help you, they want to help you back on who they know that wants to buy or sell real estate or whatever they want to do. So don't be scared of people. The second thing I would say to a new agent is don't be scared to invest in yourself. It wasn't until about 2 or 3 years ago that I even found out these things called real estate coaches existed. I mean, it makes perfect sense, and they've existed for forever, but it just never even crossed my mind that there could be someone out there that could coach me in my business. I mean, I grew up in this business. I know what to do. But there's that element of someone else holding you accountable that you have to answer to when they call and say, did you make your contacts this week? Did you reach out like you were supposed to? That makes you do the work that you need to do every single day. Because if you just sit around and wait for the phone to ring, it's not going to happen and you're not going to make it in this business. But if you actually move forward and do the things you need to, you're going to have a successful business and you're going to have an amazing life. But sometimes you need that person holding you accountable.
You know, that first tip that you said about reaching out, it's funny that you mentioned that at this time. I just had this conversation with somebody about that last week, and, you know, I can be extraordinarily shy. I'm not so good sometimes at reaching out to other people, and I think sometimes we think that everyone else has other things to do. But the reality is sometimes even when you go to meetings and, you know, you may be new, but there's a lot of other people there who are new too. They need somebody to go to dinner with. They want to talk with someone. They want to learn something too. And if you can just reach out, you can build a bridge with someone that can last for a long time.
Yeah.
If you were starting your business over, is there something you would do differently?
Well, because I got into the business when I was 8. My mom was a single parent. I was an only child. I went on every listing, every showing. I actually started writing contracts when I was 10 because my mom would mess them up. She'd misspell a refrigerator or put a closing on Sunday, and I'd point it out in front of her clients, and she'd get really mad. So one day she pushed the contract in front of me and said, fine, you do it. Well, it was a perfect contract. So after that, that's how I made my allowance money, was doing my mom's contracts. Like law was broke or anything like that. So I really didn't have a choice in starting my real estate career. But I would have been more focused from the beginning. I wouldn't have taken everything for granted. For many, many years, I just took for granted that the phone was going to ring, the business was going to come in, and that we didn't need to reach out for it. And it has sustained me to this point in my career. However, I sit back and I think if I had been more focused and more purposeful in my actions from the beginning, where would I be right now? What would I have? And not materialistically things, with my own family and with everything else that I have going on with my life. If I had been more focused and purposeful from the beginning, where would I be now? And I ask myself that question. All I can do is just focus now and move forward.
Yeah, that's great.
Okay. Bobbi, our last question for you, and if you want to, you know, anything else you want to add about volunteering, anything you else want to add to our session or our tips to our agents, what do you got?
I have a couple things that I'd like to add. The reason I got involved in the Realtor Association is because someone asked me. So if you're not involved, ask someone, how do I get involved? And if you already are involved, ask someone to come to a meeting with you. Ask someone to be a part of it, because you may spark something in them that they didn't even know existed. And so that would be my tip for them. And I don't know what you've taught in your office as far as technologies and things, but my current favorite technology, and it's been out for about 2 years now, I was an original beta tester, is canva.com, canva.com, and you can do amazing graphics designs, makes you look like you're an artist when you're not. And they developed a year ago, they have a real estate flyers category that's just absolutely amazing, and you can make some amazing real estate flyers or Facebook ads or blog post art. I love Canva, and it makes me look like I'm a really spectacular artist when I can't draw a stick figure without it being squiggly. So that's my favorite technology that I'm currently using.
Very, very cool. Well, we are so thankful that you took the time to join us here today, and very, very thankful that you do everything that you do for the association. You know, if you're not involved, it's an opportunity to literally change the landscape in the area in which we do business and to continue to make it better for our buyers and sellers and our property rights. So thanks for all you do. On behalf of Christy and Bobbi, we want to thank you so much for tuning in to RE/MAX Live.
Thank you.